Okay, first we start with half a tablespoon or half a stick of butter melted with Spanish olive oil. And we're going to do this a little bit above medium heat and fry it for roughly about 7 to 10 minutes. Some of the other ingredients we're looking at for Spanish rice is about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, not tomato sauce. This has got about 9 ounces of corn, sweet corn, and 15 ounces of kidney beans, about a tablespoon of chopped garlic, and this is actually the time for the chopped garlic. So we're just going to get that in there. Okay. Minced garlic. We also have some very finely minced onions with a little bit of oregano, and then that's our 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Alright. Another ingredient we're going to add is the Saison. Okay. I haven't mixed it in yet, but there's 2 packages of this. The regular Saison, and we're just going to fry this until we see at least half the kernels have like a white look to them. Okay, we're getting close. The camera doesn't really show it really well, but about 20-30% of the kernels have gotten this almost like a popcorn kernel, like when it's been fried. And after that's done, we're going to add it to 2 cups of beef broth into a saucepan. Okay. What I haven't been showing so far is that you really need to agitate it every now and then, and really work it around the oil. I think for every cup of rice you should use about a half a cup of butter and or oil. I like the combination of butter and oil for the smoking point. You can see right now it's starting to smoke a little bit. It's getting to that temperature. I'm going to drop it down just a little bit. And this is really where you're looking for. When it's gotten to the smoking point, you see, most of them have gotten to this white look. Now, we're going to add it to this pot of water. I'm going to show you a little bit that when you add it to it, it's going to sizzle a little bit. That's just a little example, but when you add the whole thing, you're going to see. Alright, now that we've got it into the pot, we're going to bring the heat up to high heat, just to bring it up to a rolling boil. In the frying pan, you want to pay close attention to get and all of the rice kernels out. We're going to use this pre-seasoned pan for our beans, which will be a splash of beef broth, our tomato paste, and our corn, and of course our pre-drained and rinsed beans. I like pink beans, and this time I'm using kidney beans. Now, when you see the steam start to come out of your rice and it's reached a rolling boil, you're going to start your timer for 10 minutes. This is going to be the attentive part of cooking the rice. We're going to cook it for about 5 minutes on high heat, and we're going to reduce the heat to medium heat and cook for the remaining of the 10 minutes. Over here we've added the tomato sauce and the corn and the beans, and we're just going to kind of mix this tomato paste into the corns and the beans for like a sauce. And just let this cook on really low. If you want to add some spiciness, this is your part. Or if you want to add meat, pork or beef or chicken or whatever it is that you want to try in Spanish rice, this is the time to add it in. I think I might add some hot sauce or something. I don't know. You can also add like salsa, give it a little tanginess. I'm also going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar to this part, just to bring down the acidity and the tanginess of the beans. So you can do that off camera. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example in a situation we're having right now where you adjust to these settings. So when you add the rice and the water in here with the broth, you should notice that the liquid should be way above the rice. In this situation, the rice has actually sucked up a lot of the moisture, or either that or I've evaporated out more moisture than I intended. So at 7 minutes, well, it was 7, but now it's at 6, I'm going to reduce the heat to medium automatically. When I've seen that you can see in here, that the water level is actually below the rice while boiling. We're going to leave on medium heat for the remainder of the time, and that's a good example of a time where you really want to pay attention to the rice during this 10-minute time period. The rest of it, once we finish cooking it for the next remainder of the 10 minutes on medium heat, we're going to reduce the heat to off and just go off the heat of the stove for another 10 minutes at that very low temperature. We want that very low temperature. And again, over here at the beans, we're very slowly cooking this. I put a little garlic powder in, no hot sauce yet. So far I've added a whole cup of beef broth to this to bring it to this form. And this is just something you cook on low heat. We've got about 15 more minutes of our rice. So this needs to lose some of its liquidness and cook the beans a little bit and get a little grill on there. The rice is actually doing wonderful. On the camera you can't see in, but you can be able to notice in person that the rice inside is actually fluffed up a little bit, and that the water level is decreased. And I put 2 cups of beef broth for every 1 cup of fried rice that I use for this Spanish rice technique. Okay, we're at a standby phase right now. Everything is in slow cook mode. We brought the heat up to medium heat to medium high heat for our beans, and we reduced the heat down early for our rice. We still got 3 minutes remaining on our original 10-minute timer, and I've already reduced it because the water level, you can see, is just so low where it's just barely bubbling up to the rice. So our water level is depleted down. Rice is mostly about steaming. The next step is we wait for the rice for another 13 minutes, 12 to 13 minutes, and in that time the beans will finish cooking and blending together. Once that's all completed, we mix all these ingredients with our uncooked onions. I did uncooked onions because I wanted to retain a lot of the textures of the onions, and when they're chopped finely like this, they add a lot of flavor and they blend in. They're almost invisible, and inside of this, after it's done, it's just mostly flavor, and then they kind of go in with the rice, so you can't really tell it's in there, besides the flavor that it adds. It just goes together. That's a 1-minute timer left for our rice. So that's about 11 more minutes for everything to cook, and then we add it all together. Yeah. This is a part that you really don't want you want to be patient, is what you really want to do, because everything needs to cook. What we're trying to do is balance the amount of waters that we have in different parts. So when this is done, the little bit of juice that's left over from this sauce, which is a tomato paste and a beef broth, will give the rice a little bit of flavor on the outside. And when the inside of the rice should be mostly flavored with the sazon and the garlic and the butter, and the oils that we've fried into it and almost burnt onto it. So once everything is partnered together, that's a 10-minute timer. So the rice is completely off. Rice should be done in 10 minutes. Everything should be done in 10 minutes. So we set another 10-minute timer, and this is fluctuating. I mean, you can work about on this. At this point, you can kind of just set these ingredients like this and wait the 10 minutes, then put them together and you just mix them together and leave that. Just to, you really want to. This last process is all about like blending those flavors together. So you just want to leave these last ingredients together. Not really much stirring involved, just the initial mixing, and then let it sit after this 10-minute wait for slow cooking, steaming the rice, and the finishing of these beans. Okay, so I've merged everything into a container. I even put a little sulfane on top just for the finished process. This will still cook even when it's off the stove. Everything is marrying together a little bit, and that'll be ready to serve immediately. I mean, you can let it sit for however long you want. You can even warm this back up. It'll be good. Thank you.